can I be a better content creator than myself? That's a loaded question, so let me explain. When athletes want to become better athletes, they train and condition. They watch tape and they practice. When artists want to become better artists, they observe the world. They study what inspires them and they practice. When musicians want to become better musicians, they revisit their fundamentals. They listen. They cycle through scales and they practice. When chefs want to become better chefs, they develop their palates, go over and perfect their recipes. They experiment with different flavors and combinations, and they practice. Hi, I'm ColinMParker, a podcaster, a content creator, and a streamer on Twitch. Oh my God!
Crazy shot, Colin.
Oh my God! That is maybe the best thing I've ever done. As my own toughest critic, I can't help but think that I should also be learning, that I should be running drills, that I should be experimenting, that I should be watching the tape, and that I should be practicing. So I am here today to answer the age-old question of, can I be a better content creator than myself? That's a loaded question, so let me explain. As of the start of 2026, Steam passed over 123,000 games available on its platform. Among those, there are currently a bit over 21,000 games in the simulation category. Simulators can range from escape room simulators, to flight simulators, to gas station simulators, to dating simulators, and even to goat simulators. Simulation games give us so many opportunities to experience and live entirely different lifestyles than our own. But I knew that I could use one of these games as a learning tool in my never-ending path to becoming a better content creator. And that game is YouTuber's Life. YouTuber's Life is a simulation game in which a character of your creation can go through a path to stardom by creating one of 4 channels: gaming, fashion, music, or cooking. I've been creating gaming content since 2016, originally with a group of creators called the Scavengers Network, and now with Rat House.
Oh my goodness! What? I shot him! I did it! Oh my god! No!
But I actually began this personal YouTube channel as part of a challenge to myself back in 2023, a challenge that admittedly I never quite got off the ground. So at the end of 2024, I decided that 2025 would be the year that I actually did it. And now that that year has come to a close and I've stopped procrastinating, I think it's finally time to show you just how much this game stacks up to real life. Step 1. Creating the brand. As I mentioned before, I originally started a brand new YouTube channel to make these comparisons, but I also now have Rat House to use to be specific to 2025. This was helpful as an extra set of data to look at since so much time has passed since I started my new channel, and with Rat House I got an additional fresh start. Step 2. Parameters and goals. The point in which I am in my personal life is definitely very different than where the playable character is for this game. We both struggle to make money, which is true, but in the beginning he has free rent and food, and I most certainly do not. In the beginning, he has absolutely no editing and filming experience, but I have plenty. So while there might be some comparisons that are a little uneven, trust me when I say it's not going to matter. The task is to upload a video every single week to the channel, both in-game and in real life, and the only goal is to grow your channel as much as you possibly can in 12 months. Step 3. Release the content. Luckily, this part is already done. So if you haven't seen the content as it originally came out, then after you're done enjoying this video, I welcome you to watch over 80 episodes of content that I've put out. Step 4. Analyze the data. In the original challenge video, I did say that I was going to try my best to do a one-to-one of the fake video games to real-life video games for my recordings. But sometimes the games were just straight up broken or they just don't really exist, so I do whatever I want to. And I think that makes the data easier to look at. So first up, let's take a look at the final results of the simulated YouTube channel from the game. First is the views by month. So this is not stacking on top of one another. This is just what each month did. January starts off honestly pretty good for a brand new channel with 2,500. But then by the time you get to June and you're halfway through the year, you're already at just under 150,000. Until you then get to the beginning of quarter 4 in October with just shy of 500,000 views. And November itself being over 500,000 views. So the numbers go pretty insane very quickly. And the same thing kind of happens with the followers. You start the first month with over 1,500, and then the next month you're only up another 1,000, but then you basically double it the next month, and so on and so forth until you get to a point where you are jumping over 20,000 viewers every month between September and December, ending the entire follower count at 142,161 followers. And then finally for the total views, again, you can see how those top months stack up against one another. What starts off with 205,000 views, as they progressively get higher and higher, as those numbers get more separated out from one another, by the end of it, at the end of December, we have hit just shy of 3 million views. These stats would require a lot of good luck, and they seem fairly unobtainable. But I'm sure that someone could do that by going viral overnight, but those kind of numbers, they seem like an extreme outlier, don't they? Well, let's see how those numbers compare to how I did and find out. For the ColinMParker stats, it's very all over the place. And I just got very lucky with a couple videos that randomly did very, very well. But in January, I only had 130 views. So very small compared to the 2,500. Now I get very lucky with March hitting 6,592 views overall. Then if you add up April, May, June, and July, you barely break 1,000 views. October is where we get very lucky. We have a very niche video that comes out, and that hits 8,382 views. But just as quickly as I got that notoriety, it immediately dropped off in November. November only having 1,200 views. And then I got a little bit of a lucky strike again in December because of the Advent of Advent series. That gave me 3,118 views. Then overall, I ended up with 99 followers. So this one is definitely more different than how the video game went. It stays at a pretty consistent line at the bottom, and then we have that first big jump, but then it basically hovers right around that same number for a good long while. September gives us a brief little uptick before we have that next big jump, and that one is pretty significant, almost doubling itself, ending everything at 23,500 views total. I did originally have much larger plans for this channel, and if 2024 had not been a year that just took from me over and over and over again, who knows? I think I probably would have stuck it out and I would have made a much larger push on this channel. But working on this video has made me realize that while I was neglecting this channel to work on this project, I missed it. I missed doing things for it. So it is part of my now revitalized desire to do more with this channel in 2026 and beyond, especially as I continue to pursue content creation on a larger scale. And now let's take a look at the brand new channel from 2025, Rat House. Okay, as you can see, kind of a similar story, but everything is fairly consistent. There's nothing that's like a huge jump, although I suppose 400 into 1,400 being the largest jump from July into August. But even then, everything feels like it's pretty consistent in terms of how it does. August, September, October being 3 really solid months back to back for us. Now, unfortunately for all of us, I do think that the follower count here has been the least helpful thing for us, or the thing that has the least amount of growth. We obviously had a lot of early adopters, as many people from our individual communities as streamers joined in within the first couple of months. But then after that, it just sort of petered out. It just sort of became very small and slow growth as we reached a somewhat larger audience, but not a lot. If you look at those total views though, it does seem fairly consistent. It's not necessarily a gigantic slope throughout the entirety of it, but it is possibly the closest thing to a flat line type of growth, like an actual slope versus a much steeper curve. And all of this culminates in 6,211 total views for the channel. That being said, I do want to get one thing straight, which is to say that at the end of the day, this is something that we do for fun. Rat House is not something that any of us are trying to turn into the next Achievement Hunter or Smosh Games or anything comparable to them. This is just something that we do for fun. All of us have our priorities set with our individual streaming channels, and it's just one of those things where we do this channel to have fun together, but also to try to grow our individual and shared audiences throughout the years. And now let's take a look at what everything looks like side by side. Oh, well, it seems like it's mostly just the video game numbers. Oh, and the other numbers just kind of stay at the bottom, almost in a flat line. Admittedly, not quite what I was hoping for. And let's take a look at the comparison for how much every channel made in monetization. Basically the same thing. In YouTuber's life, we were monetized by the second month. And by the end of everything, we had made a total of just shy of $6,400. And when you compare it to the real life channels combined, we got pretty close. We got pretty close when you think about it. We were just $6,400 shy. So yeah, the comparisons were just a little uneven. And with that, I've run out of data and information to give to you about these three channels. So I guess that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing what kind of projects we can cook up next. Except, here's the thing. I haven't told you everything. I've been keeping something from you this whole time. It is my current goal to do a solo challenge in Pokemon every single week using every single Pokedex entry across every game. Starting with Pokemon Yellow, but I've explored some of the other games as well. This is a channel that I did completely anonymously. I did this without promoting the page anywhere and without telling any of my friends or collaborators, except for Carp and Maggie, and eventually Az when they figured it out. I made this channel and I grew it to where it is right now. So I have one more set of data for you. Brippy151 has some really incredible numbers here. When you look at this first month, January starts off with 2,200 views basically. And then we stay pretty consistent. February is 2,400 views. Then March is 2,862. It looked like it was going to be an immediate success and win. And then finally, October was our first huge boom. 5,900 views. That was pretty incredible. The continuous growth as well for those videos, even though there were some moments of some slightly smaller view counts, we still continued to grow the channel every single month. And at the end of December in 2025, there were 316 followers on this channel. So one of the main reasons why I waited just a little bit longer to make this video was because I told myself that I was already getting pretty close to 500 subscribers on that channel, which meant that if I gave myself just a few more months, I could probably get it to that exact number before I made this video. I did tell myself, however, that this video had to be out by or on June 1st. And since that day is coming up very quickly, only a few days away at this point, I had to make the video. At the time of the recording, I am at 485 subscribers on the channel. By the time the video comes out for you, it's quite possible that if you go to that channel right now, it's either going to be at 500 or just barely past it, Or it could mean that you could be the person that takes me over and gets me to that next milestone. Either way, I do hope that you hit the subscribe button, because I'm pretty damn proud of this channel. Going back to these numbers, let's just take a look at what the total views were overall. As you can see, this is a fairly steady growth, and a little bit like the YouTube channel from the video game, and even from my own personal channel, there is near the end of the year a brief little moment of uptick in which it goes a little bit quicker towards a higher number than it does in previous months. But this is almost a very consistent level of growth, despite the monthly views being a little wackadoodle and a little all over the place. It does go to show that overall, everything is pretty consistent on the Brippy151 channel. At the end of the day, showing Brippy151 compared to everything, it doesn't really change anything, unfortunately. Now, if you want to take away the video game numbers and just look at what the personal IRL channels look like, there is at least somewhat a notable difference here. As you can see, my personal channel had a couple brief moments of some flashes in the pan with some larger stats. Rat House is fairly consistent. If you look at those little cubes of yellow, it's basically the same size most of the months, with a couple of months like August and September as a slight outlier, but for the most part, they are pretty consistent. And that does also feel good, that we are at least remaining consistent within ourselves. The followers, interestingly enough, are fairly similar numbers between the personal channel and Rat House, but then as you can see, Brippy151, perhaps just because it's a little bit more niche, it does have a larger trajectory there at the end for the followers overall. Now, the total views, however, Brippy151 and the personal channel are actually pretty even, which is also a very fascinating thing. But I think it also goes to show that by being a variety content creator, sometimes you can have some larger videos happen or some sort of special moments where you get a lot of attention. That doesn't mean that it always equals a loyal subscriber. Finally, if you look at that monetization, you'll see that even with adding in Brippy151, it's just the exact same graph. So this channel did grow the most overall, at least for the IRL channels, and it still didn't make it to monetization, although it's very close at the time of the recording. I do think that a large part of this comes from being way more niche than the other two channels, and it's definitely a little bit more nostalgia-based, versus kind of like a variety that comes from the other two channels. I also think that that's the reason that we have also had so much fun with kind of keeping this very private, was that I got to be niche, and also I was still me, but got to experience just a little bit of anonymity and just truly having an entirely anonymous new start. Also earlier in this video, you may recall that I mentioned that there were nearly 100 episodes worth of content for you to go enjoy after this video. And I did mean it, because there's also now another 75 videos for this channel that you can add on top of that. And now I can say that I've shared everything with you. This has been such a fun project, or I guess really projects, that I've been able to do all simultaneously while streaming and doing a podcast and freelance work. The list goes on. This was a very busy schedule, but very satisfying and rewarding to do. I also meant what I said earlier about how doing this project has made me really want to dive back into this channel and do more with it. I'm not 100% positive on what that looks like just yet, but just know I will definitely be keeping you in the loop on that. What would you rather do after a scenario? And I think the answer would be, I'd rather fight 100 duck-sized horses.
You want to go to like a big department store, and that's sort of what you would do?
Was that another question? And on top of all of that, 2026 marks a 10-year anniversary for me in content creation. And that just feels pretty wild to say, actually. So here's to 10 years and to many more together. Be kind to yourself, be excellent to one another, and I will see you all on the next one.